Okay. All right. So we have some interesting sounds. The boys are back in town. Good to see you. Good to see you. All right. So a couple things here. I'm gonna make sure I'm not.
Except should have been like an author.
Okay. All right. From a review game for World Civ. Here are the notes. I think everybody has the notes. I think we're all good. You at least got them online, Maddie. Okay. So guys, we are. Today is our last day for this section. We're going to get through as much as we can, right? Tomorrow is going to be the test, heck or high water. But as Kennedy asked, as did Tyler, I will upload a review module online. It'll probably be all in there by like 4 p.m. today.
Is this part of the Unit 2?
Correct. Unit 2 test is going to have both the Congress and the Presidency on it, right? So if you're wondering, and I hope, Kennedy, that makes it a little easier, because you said before, like, you just listened to it, you could pause it, you wrote down stuff, right? From
yeah,
Unit
are you
1.
going to, like, not read the exact questions again?
What are you talking about?
I don't know.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay.
I'm confused. So, Kenny, we're going to try to get through as much as we can today, right? I don't think we'll get through impeachment on the bottom of this, because I think we've already sort of covered that. But our goal is to get through as much as we can, and no matter what, we will have that review module online tonight. So, Olivia, you're good. You're covered.
Where was
no matter
it?
what happens.
Well, on YouTube.
Yeah. How do you find it? How do you find the review?
It's on
in your channel.
The last time it wasn't on Canvas, it was just on YouTube.
Yeah. Okay.
So you literally type in Gordon Pierre. This time, I will, well, I tell you this, I'm not going to put it on Canvas. I'm going to put it on YouTube, okay? It's a subtle line, but just look up Gordon Pierre. It's just the channel. You'll see it labeled Unit 2 Review.
Just subscribe to him. I get notifications.
And if you subscribe, there it is.
Like and subscribe, guys. Giveaway at the end of the month.
Spencer's going to come with a prize.
What?
I don't know what it is.
Okay.
So, yes, Trey, there you go. Does that help? Trey, does that help?
Yep.
Okay, Olivia.
So if I'm doing online like tomorrow, like I will you were taking it.
Okay, the test, and this is good for everybody else and those who are seeing it. I have it on Canvas, so it will unlock like at midnight tomorrow morning, right? And be open until 11:59 tomorrow. So that's the same thing. It'll unlock on Canvas, and you just, test taking conditions. Make sure you submit it. I do ask, and this is for everybody online too. I ask that you send your completed test to me via email. You can.
Is it just like a paper?
It's a Word document. Yeah, you just fill it in and send it to me. I know we had like a couple people who sent it just and submitted it on Canvas, and that's fine too. But make sure you send it via email. That way, until we're in full dismissal form as a school, if we are ever in that form, I'll try to keep it via email as much as possible. So that's how it is. Does that answer your question there? Anything else, Kennedy?
Do you know how many active cases there are right now?
I think this is, from what I was doing my napkin math, there are 6 total. There were 2 additional ones.
I was it was them. It's okay.
There were 2.
We still love them.
Yeah, we do. There are 2 additional ones. I don't know. Sammy, I love the logic, because I love the logic, like putting those together. I don't know.
I know, I'm really scared. I'm
Sammy,
like,
I really don't know. I'm like not. Sammy, let me tell you this. I'm not connecting dots for anybody, but I look at it and be like, okay.
That's
Coincidence?
Meaning like somebody got dinged in terms of a hit, and then does that ripple effect hit other people, right? Like this, yeah. So I don't know.
Can we get another one? Doesn't the whole class quarantine? If we have 2? That's what I
thought it was 3.
Yeah,
So
right.
3, you were correct.
So
If
we're all quarantined.
Yes, yes. The Bear River Health Department says yes, 3. If there are 3,
No, you're not.
if there are 3 at a time in a class, that means that this class is quarantined. Correct. But then again, Kennedy, that's on paper. I have seen multiple times with all the ones we've had this year that the administration has negotiated. I don't know how that goes. But it's like, I know there's 3, but really that person was in a staggered format a week after this person, and
You wanna hear what's weird?
right. So Ethan and Ken, I'm glad to have your back, right? Because you guys, we might benefit from that. So even if occasionally another person does, we might say, well, no, it wasn't over in a tiny enough window. We're not quarantined. Does that make sense? We'll see how it
Aren't
goes.
some people like saying he's like quarantined, but they're not saying that they
Why
have
I should not
COVID?
be here today.
Sorry, what was that?
Why I shouldn't be here? Because I tested 2 weeks ago. I tested negative. And then I came back on that Friday. I don't know if she was here or not.
Right.
But if she was like that, it has nothing to do with my negative test. But they're like, oh, you got tested negative. I'm like, okay.
And remember, Sarah, this is what we talked about at the beginning of the year. There's a line in the sand.
And
Just sort of like, and it keeps moving, and we might question the placement of that line.
It's fine.
But we're just sort of, we'll take what we got, right? Right? But yes, Kennedy, if you really look at it, you're like, if we're really holding the line.
Yeah, it was really weird. And then I was on quarantine today, and my mom called in like, oh, she can
Yeah.
So I go in the first hour, and I was like, you're not supposed to be here. I was like,
But
you want me to leave?
it's interesting, I got told that you were.
more than any of my other classes.
In terms of looking at the numbers or just understanding that things don't make sense?
No,
All
just
of the above.
Scary
Okay.
man.
Scary man.
Scary man. All right. So guys, we left off last time. We were talking. Guys, quick reminder. You guys got this. How many bureaucrats are employed by the presidency and bureaucracy?
5 million.
There it is. 5
Where
million.
is this in?
Very good.
What section is this in?
We just finished up on the bottom of power. So now we're on the back of the page
So
there.
checks and frames. Was that a bonus question?
How are you?
So we're here. Yeah. On the checks. You got it. You got it. Okay. Talia! We love you.
She leaves.
No.
Sometimes.
It might have been during quarantine. I mean, during the break, so you might not have to leave.
Wait, if we had
I don't know.
want to quarantine.
Sarah,
Here, but here's the thing, is I've had it within the past.
Yeah, right. The whatever 72 days or whatever it is.
Yeah, because mine's been
Like how many people in this classroom?
Yeah, Olivia. So,
I'm
anywho,
suing.
guys, we're gonna move on so we can get through as much as we
One
can.
more question.
Yes, Kennedy.
Trey wasn't sent home, so if Ellie has it, will I be sent home or no?
It's kind of sick.
So,
Like, it does not make any sense. They're so close.
Kennedy and Sammy and Talia, who are doing the math of like, wait a second, based on Trey's situation where that would not send other people home, I am assuming that that will not result in other people getting dinged. Does that make sense?
Wait,
But
if
if
you
it
get
did,
it,
would
I
I go?
quarantine? No. I wouldn't.
No, but wait, so it
It's a
won't
buffer
send me
zone.
home?
You have Sammy
I-
to shield you from the coronavirus.
So I'm not going home.
Talia, I don't know.
No, but that's not what I'm asking.
I don't know that answer, but because Kennedy, because of Trey's situation of having like, if you really looked at it, then wouldn't that mean that he might have to, be home too or whatever? But because he wasn't, that's what I'm saying. A secondary positive.
That's so
Gordon,
freaking
Gordon,
scary.
just
The
say-
NDC right there is really
Oh, shut up, Sarah. Oh, shut up.
When they ask you
Kenzie's
where
like,
she sits,
so-
just say she sits in the corner by
This is
herself.
my Tyler.
Wait, didn't she test positive?
That's why Ellie had it.
Well, how
We
about
just
you?
we just like exile the possible.
He tested negative. They were like,
Yeah.
oh my God, you tested negative 2
So
weeks ago.
Talia, what I'm trying to say
Wait, would
is,
Ellie quarantine other people in her other
that's what
classes?
I'm telling you, that I don't believe they will on the secondary test. Does that make sense?
Did she get tested in hopes she could come back as
I think so, and that's why, but honestly, that's why I don't think a secondary test will ding other people.
I can't smell anything.
Don't tell me that.
No,
Okay.
I haven't ever since I got it. Like, but those symptoms last.
Right, she's good. Okay, so,
And I can't taste like
interesting.
So
So guys, stick with me here. On the back of the page here, under checks, and maybe Kennedy, that answered sort of maybe the question you're getting at. With his family. Kennedy, is that what you're getting at, like with his brother and stuff, whatever? Being home from that. Oh no. So then what was your question?
Well, because like he sits really close and he wasn't sent home, but like I sit close and so, but if it was the same, I wouldn't. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
I'm texting Greg. Why?
Here we go, guys. Stick with me. Under checks, we have a total of Four things that you're going to write down here for checks. Tyler was getting to last time.
Right after the leader test, I tried to find somewhere to charge my phone, but my little thingy doesn't fit in that one. It usually does. Like due date. It was like
Put it right here. There's it out there. Guys, there are four things you're going to write down. Tyler mentioned last week that he thought one of the powers was this. It's more technically considered a check and a balance. I'm not talking about like writing a check like, there it is, guys. Write down veto legislation. Very good. Veto legislation. Good. Veto legislation. Now, this is a power, I get it, but it's technically deemed a check. And when I say check, don't get it confused. We're not talking about Garrett like, I'm going to write him a little check and here's the money. This is instead saying like a hockey check you in the glass, I'm going to break your jaw, let's do it. It's supposed to be a violent, aggressive move to stop somebody else from doing something. So veto legislation is the first thing you're going to write down. Let's keep writing here that after a bill passes the House and Senate. After a bill passes the House and Senate. After a bill passes the House and Senate. And as Sarah was saying, like, what if the two different versions are different, right? We had something like that in our own version. And after they pass the House and Senate, after they go through what's called reconciliation, like where they sort of join them together, it goes before the president. It goes before the president. To be signed or rejected. Okay. So it goes before the president to be signed, approved, right, or rejected, veto. Basically the old school version of Tinder on legislation, I suppose. Like it goes before his vision. I'm swiping left, I'm swiping right, what's going on here? Like that's really what's happening here. Checks and balances deals with vetoing legislation. After it passes the House and Senate, it goes before the president. The president can either approve it, sign it into law, or reject it and disapprove of it. Veto.
And then what happens to the bill after it's vetoed?
So, most of the time, it's dead, right? It's dead. The Senate and House go through all that work and rigmarole, and they go through, and Austin, they sign it, they pass it, it's a big pomp and circumstance, they send it to the president, and they have it on his desk, and the president has a chance to sign it or reject it. If he rejects it or vetoes it, then it is dead, it's over. How many times do you think a president vetoes something?
Not very often.
Why not?
Because
you're right.
Like the House and the Senate, he probably feels a little out of place being the only one rejected.
Yeah, because then you are putting your neck on the line and being like, I'm going against the American people.
It depends though. If it's a second term, then he's like, I don't care.
And,
Yes.
and his propositions.
It's already my second term. I don't need re-election, so screw you people.
Correct. Pardons happen more at the end of that second term as well.
But his also his proposition and his things he wants to pass have to go through them. So
Right. There's a tit for tat. Like if
Quid pro quo.
quid pro quo. Yeah. You want to make sure that there is a good relationship. I will clean this up, and I know that you guys have hit that number, but we're just
that's right.
we're jabbing it up, Lucas, to make it
so we
harder.
don't have.
Assuming you guys aren't butt heads and stick with me. Sorry, pardon my language. That you guys stick with me for the rest of the hour, then yes, you guys have won the incentive for tomorrow.
Yes.
But we want to understand that it usually dies. It's done. And Spencer, it's rarely done because a veto is, again, the analogy of who here, I'm just curious, who here actually has been, who here's been to a coastal beach more than 3 times in your life? Do you know what I mean by Atlantic, Pacific? Okay, good. A coastal, not a Great Lakes, not a Lake.
Great Lakes are sick.
A coastal. So Brooke, you've been okay. When you're on the beach and you're playing in the sand and stuff, this analogy sometimes stumps kids. They're like, I've never been to a beach. I don't get it. Like we're playing in the sand and stuff. If it's wet sand, then you hold it. It's like a big glom, and whether it's there, you can have a lot more control and power over it. If it's dry sand, you pick it up. And it's okay, but the more you try to grab it and squeeze it, what happens to it?
It's gone.
It's gone. The presidential veto power is the same way. The less you use it, the more powerful it is. Does that make sense? That's the analogy, Ethan, of it's there, but the more I grab onto it, it goes right through my hands. So veto is rarely used. That's not how it used to be. Vetoes were done under Washington a ton. And we'll get to that in the judicial section as to why there's a difference. But now, they're rarely used. You ask what happens then. There is one way to resurrect, to make this a zombie bill, if you will. That's not a good way to say it.
The House again?
Yes, there is an override. What does Congress have to do, Sophie?
Is it have to have like a 2/3 majority?
Exactly, guys. So the second thing you're going to write down here is, if a bill is vetoed, Congress can overturn it. Very good. If a bill is vetoed, Congress can overturn it with a 2/3 vote. Congress can overturn it with a 2/3 vote.
Well, so
Which is also known as a supermajority. So Esther, if you hear like majority require, a bill needs to just get a majority, 50+%, boom.
Okay.
A supermajority is a 2/3.
Superman.
So 66+%, that type of thing. Do you have a question?
So, and he can't, and the president can't veto that again.
Correct. At that point, I see what you're saying. This isn't like,
Back in.
again, a bad Star Wars analogy, but the end of the most recent movie when
I
there's
haven't
like,
seen it.
I force kiss you alive.
What the?
Can't they just keep force kissing each other back alive? You guys know what I'm talking about. The end of the whole,
What happened at the 7th?
the rise of Skywalker.
I haven't seen it. Is it that bad where they have to?
Maddie, do you know what I'm talking about?
They have to stoop so low to force it.
There's the end of that movie, which I guess I spoiled things for people now.
I'm fine with it. I heard it was a dumpster fire, and I don't want to
So,
watch it after
the
hearing
rise of
that.
Skywalker, like the most recent one, like the one
I
that
just couldn't
came.
figure out.
At the end of the movie,
I looked at the number of like.
it's like a forced kiss that like lets them live and get resurrected and stuff.
That's hilarious.
Disney.
I do not regret not watching
Kylo
it.
Ren or whatever. Yeah.
I thought that was
But if you're
hilarious.
watching it, you're like, wait, can't they just keep? Sounds weird. Kissing each other to keep each other alive.
Yeah.
Wait,
But-
do they have the
I'm
same
so
parents?
mad at that movie.
I'm not getting on that.
I'm still angry.
I hope it's not a Luke and
It
Leia.
dies out. No, there wasn't. In the same way, with the bad analogy, in the same way, a bill can get vetoed. Congress, as Sophie is saying, can override that veto. The president has no say at that point. There's no like back and forth. You can't like keep going back. No. It's just that. Trey is
Would
going
it
off.
be
the
like,
hook.
if they override it though, would it be like the veto where it's best not to try to revive it? Like, because you said
You mean if the president vetoes something, you would think it'd be best for Congress not to override it.
yeah, like is it the same with a veto where the president shouldn't veto as much as
Usually
well?
it's so, in this case, I like what you're saying, there isn't a limit on the president saying like, okay, constitutionally you have your 5 per year and that's it. No, like a president could veto everything if they wanted, right? But Congress, because mechanically you have to have 2/3 of the House and the Senate override a veto, that ain't happening. More because it's so impossible, Gabe, to have happen in terms of numbers.
What if a party controls the?
If they had a filibuster-proof majority, meaning that it's more than 3/5 or it's like 2/3 majority, right? They still probably wouldn't do it unless the president was crazy. But if the president were crazy, then they'd get impeached. Does that make sense? Yeah, Esther?
Do they have to like say why they veto it? Like, do they have to?
Nope. They don't. They could for the court of public opinion, but they don't. Lincoln was a master at vetoing legislation. He was impressive. In fact, he didn't just veto it because he didn't like what Congress was doing, meaning Congress had a lot of radical Republicans in it, right? And he was trying to keep the country together, especially toward the end of the war. And so he wanted to make sure it was playing nice. So he vetoed things from the radical Republicans, even though, Gabe, they had a strong majority because the rebels left.
Kind of sucked because they led to the Jim Crow era.
Yes, yeah. Like, so Lincoln was trying to prevent those things by trying to keep the country together.
But it just
Yeah, that's a fair way to say it. But Esther, they don't have to. They don't need to say on the reason of this, on the reason of that. No, they can just veto it for whatever reason. But they will tell the media. Now here's the tricky thing. Lincoln, who was so good at this, guys, for 10 points, I know you've already hit the incentive, but for 10 points, there was a type of veto that Lincoln used famously.
Was it a pocket veto?
Pocket veto, that's exactly it. So good. Okay, the third thing you'll write down is pocket veto. Very good, Sophie. 10 points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Spencer, I feel like every governmental term we use, you relate to basketball.
Or, yeah.
Or pocket, yeah, I guess they're NFL.
In and out of the pocket.
Yeah, so a pocket veto. You're right on. Lincoln was famous for using this. Sophie or anybody else, what is a pocket veto?
Is it like a?
It's a weird procedure.
Cut his hair.
Kennedy, what was that?
Tax veto? Like they're like not. I don't know.
No, you're right.
Pull out of his
Really?
pocket.
Yeah, like they just he doesn't. Kind of like ignoring.
Yeah, it's using the idea of a pocket and sort of ignoring it. So,
Oh, like when you're like pocketing like cash.
yeah. Or like,
Figured it out.
if Kennedy's going out to the movies and, Sophie's like, hey, here's $5, give me that popcorn. And you're like, yeah, sure, yeah, we'll do, yeah, sounds good.
So is it like they don't sign the
Wow.
bill?
And Sophie's like, where's my popcorn? I don't know, it's a good movie. That's what the president does. He puts it in his pocket and forgets about it.
So he doesn't sign it
Forget.
and wait.
Forget. So let's write this down, guys. If Congress, but it's very iffy here, if Congress gives the president a bill, and this is the third thing under checks, Lucas, if Congress gives the president a bill within 10 days, Congress gives the president a bill within 10 days of the close of the congressional session. If Congress gives the president a bill within 10 days of the close of the congressional session, the president can just put it in his or her pocket and forget about it. So if Congress gives a bill to the president within 10 days of the close of the congressional session, the president can put it in his or her pocket and forget about it.
Like literally, or can they just not like?
Well, they don't have to I am now placing it in my pocket for the record, please, thank you. Like, they don't have to literally do it. But Lincoln did it in the sense of, hey, it's on my desk. And it's a bill passed by Congress, majority of House and Senate, and he's look at it, okay. And he's like, it's 10 days at the end of the session, sweet, I'm just gonna put it in my pocket and then be done. Why wouldn't the president, Esther, just come out and say, like, I am vetoing this?
What's the 10 days mean? Like they just have to wait for 10 days or what?
The president sometimes wishes, I like the sand thing, yes. The president sometimes wishes that Congress gives him or her a bill within the 10 days. Because the logic behind it is, use another analogy. If I were to say, hey, we're not going to do the test tomorrow, we're going to do it right now. What would your reaction be?
No!
No, like, Heather's like, no, that's not fair, it's not fair. There's not enough time. The logic behind it is if you give me a bill with only 10 days and you guys then leave, I won't have enough time to really mull and consider all the consequences of this bill. Therefore, you can't expect me to actually veto or sign it into law. You got to give me more time. It's a parliamentary procedure that requires Congress to give him a bill early enough that he can look at it, maybe ask them questions before he signs it into law. If they give it too late, does he have to sign it? No. Hence a pocket veto. And Trey, you were saying, or maybe Lucas was, of why again wouldn't he just outright veto?
Because if it's controversial.
Yeah. You want to make sure that you retain your power, but also as a president, Sarah, you want to avoid controversy. Like in this class, think about this, the abortion law was very, right down the middle almost. We almost had a very slim majority for passing that. If you were then to say to me, Kennedy, all right, here, you just figure it out. You decide on the abortion law here for our class. Do I want to take that stance?
Yes.
Maybe if I had a spine, I would. But Esther, presidents are like, it's much easier, right, to say, oh, golly gee willikers, you needed me to sign it into law. I lost that. It's in my pocket somewhere. Oh, better luck next time, next congressional session. Do you see what he's doing there? It's avoiding having to take a stand on it, and it's a pocket veto without losing power and without seeming too controversial, because then he's endorsed it. So Lincoln was so good. Lincoln was the consummate politician. Please don't get it twisted. That dude could speak out of both sides of his mouth masterfully.
Can't all politicians have.
A lot of them can.
Too bad he wasn't gonna.
I would say Lincoln was one of the best presidents we had, which also made him controversial. Don't get it twisted. Johnson, who was impeached for doing a lot of things that Lincoln did, Johnson didn't do it as well or as smoothly, right? If that makes sense. He was like the consummate guy.
Like Lincoln.
Sophie?
If it's a pocket veto and they try again, do they have to get the 2/3 majority, or can they just send it?
They, in theory, can do the next session. They have to do a revote, which opens it up to debate, and there could be new congressional members in it, and it's a whole other time. So then it's like, crap. It feels like it's defeated. Like it's, yeah, it just takes time. It does not require 2/3. No, it's just done. You have to restart it all, which stinks. Yeah.
So, yeah, one thing was that Lincoln censored the press during the Civil War.
Yep.
Which is like goes against the First Amendment.
Well, also, it was a lot easier to censor the press because everyone was in D.C. and everyone had to go to the press room.
Yeah.
And so it's not like you had one reporter instantly tweeting out everything.
Oh, no.
You know what I mean? It was
Right.
so much easier to regulate who gets
Yes.
to see what information.
It was.
It's kind of interesting that Twitter just recently censored the New York. Was it the New York Post or New York Times?
New York. Oh, not New York Times. New York Post.
Yeah,
New York Post.
They had the.
Yep.
Is that predominantly Democratic and Republican?
New York Post is New York Post is about getting viewers and readers. So they tend to be a little more whoever's got cool news. Recently, they have sided more with a Trump administration thing than the New York Times, which has been more left of center, more liberal. They're the ones who like really investigated Nixon and stuff like that. Right?
It's kind of shady that like Twitter just.
Yeah, they took a stand. I mean, whether you agree or not,
you can't even share it. Like
they just
try to share the article.
Yeah, on Twitter. Yeah, if you share it,
it's like that. You can't private message someone.
Absolutely. But the idea of Lincoln, it was easier for him. He was very good on what he was doing and talking to both sides of his mouth. The pocket veto was great because then he wasn't controversial, and Congress was like, well, golly gee, Kennedy just forgot to buy that popcorn. She's so good and she's devilishly like. And Lincoln in this example was like, I didn't forget it all. I didn't want to take a stand. Waha. And not that he said it that way, but that's the idea.
But pretty close, bro.
Popcorn's disgusting. That's my quiet.
Yeah, I guess.
It's my favorite.
So the fourth thing you'll write down here for checks. Okay, and for a couple more points, you tell me. The main check the president has on Congress is the veto, right? And the pocket veto. That's the main check. There's not, like, the president doesn't nominate senators or anything like that. What is, like, the only check? I want to be very clear. What is really the only check against the judicial branch? By anybody, president included.
He can choose the justice, the Supreme Justice.
He gets to choose?
Or he gets to nominate.
Nominate, yes, he gets to nominate. So the fourth thing is the president can check the judiciary. The president can check the judiciary. The president can check the judiciary by nominating judges. Really on the test, hint, hint, avoid like electing or selecting judges. Really use the word nominating. Ethan, you get what I'm saying there? Because he sort of is choosing them occasionally, but like who has to confirm them?
Congress.
Congress. Now, the president could, constitutionally speaking, say, screw that, I'm just going to choose them. Because the Constitution says to give advice and consent from the Senate, but that seems like a weird, hey, I'm going out, Mom, deal with it type thing. Well, here's my advice, screw you, right? Like,
so, like, legally, you could bypass the Senate?
If you wanted to, yeah. We haven't had a president try it.
Since, has any president tried it? Or?
No.
Tried what?
Because it'd probably be easier if they're president.
So I'll say one more time. The president can check the judiciary by nominating judges. Kennedy, that idea of the president saying, I'm going to nominate and choose Amy Barrett to be on the court right now, right? The president could do that. But traditionally, the Senate has had the advice and consent power, which we have interpreted to be they get review on it. But have you ever been given advice from your parents that you didn't listen to?
Yep.
No, all the time.
I've never, that's never.
For the record,
An angel.
Talia has never gotten advice.
No.
That she has not.
Like, I'm only on top of piercing and that's all.
I love it. I love it. Okay, here we go. Here are some.
So Steve, you gotta
Here are some points, Talia, for your compliance. So if you go saying like the president could do it, we have not had a president try that. The only time the president has tried to exert extreme authority on the court was, man, you guys are racking this up, for 5 points. There was a president who did it.
time period?
If I gave you the time period, you would totally know who it
Was
was.
it FDR?
Yeah.
I don't keep game.
Why did you ask for the time period?
Because
No.
that's how
Stop
you.
getting points so you don't have to go so high now.
Well, this isn't. No, you guys are just making it harder for the future tries. Meaning,
Oh,
next cycle you will only be held against the average, which is like 192 for the next one, because people get senioritis in this class and the average goes down, right? So you're just making it hard for future tries.
I thought we were making it
What
hard.
are you talking about?
No. So,
Never gonna be
so Gabe, does that make sense? That he.
It was during
Here's the
World War
problem.
II,
It
right?
was, guys. Here's the problem. The country was yes in the war, but also in the Great Depression, and it's called the switch in time that saved 9. Which, if you guys are really seamstresses, and I think Garrett, I think you're a big sewer, right? Yeah. Crochet, you love it. I love it. Okay, so as he's doing this, there is a saying that says, "A stitch in time saves 9." I feel really old saying that, as if any of you are going to get that. Meaning, if you have a hole in your shirt, if you can stitch it, it'll save you 9 other jobs.
What?
Does that analogy? That's what they'd say.
That
Stitch
does
in.
not make any sense.
A stitch in time, meaning if you catch that hole quickly enough, then you can prevent there to be like 9 other patch jobs done later.
Okay, I thought that was so that because you were saving the money to patch it. It's not.
Not
Well, yeah,
all.
same difference, because you don't have to send it to the seamstress to do it. Yeah, so both time, money, energy. So a switch in time saved 9. But not money, not time, not energy. How many judges are on the Supreme Court? 9. FDR wanted to help the country when it came to the Depression. And those of you in A-Push, you may have talked about this, that it was sort of tied to the New Deal. The country was hurting. And in the Constitution it says Congress and the President can only sign laws that affect interstate commerce, meaning from Idaho to Utah. But what if you have, Lucas, a business in Cache Valley that does not cross state lines at all? The federal government wanted to mandate and regulate things to help you out. But a lot of people said that's too much control, we don't want to do it. And the court said that too. They repeatedly said, no, get that corn out of my face. No, we're not doing this, FDR. I know you want to help people, but you're getting intrastate commerce, can't do it. And so the FDR did weekly fireside chats on the radio, and he threatened the court. He said, you guys are so old and you're so out of touch that I will pack the court. This should sound a little familiar. I will pack the court to where you're not going to have 9, you're going to have 24. You're going to have 32, you're going to have 36. We're going to pack it to where we will put newer judges on who will overrule you, because the court does not give a limit on the number of judges you can do. Now, FDR was unconstitutional. FDR, the presidency does not dictate how many is on the court. Congress does. But you get the same idea. Yeah. The switch in time that saved 9 is the judges there were like, sand analogy, crap. Okay, change your minds. The next court case came out and they said the ripple effect of the economy is Lucas's job and business, while only affecting Cache Valley, is like ripples in a pond. That the people he employs will go on vacation in Idaho and therefore affect all of interstate commerce. I kid you not, it's called the ripple effect, and that's how they did the switch in time. The courts were like, we changed it in time. They saved their jobs in a way by doing that. So the switch in time that saved 9 is just that. The only check the president or anybody has in the court is a proactive check, meaning, Ethan, if I were to choose you as president of this classroom, I have to really predict well that you will not be a ninja and overthrow me. I don't trust him. Spencer, for me to choose you as captain and president of this, oh, no.
There's no way Spencer could be a ninja.
See that? Those ones got to work.
I'll be the
Spencer, see, that's what you would think.
Sammy, do you get what I'm saying here? The president has to proactively predict how that person is going to be, because if they act poorly on the court, do we traditionally impeach Supreme Court justices?
Oh.
No, they're on there for life as long as they have good behavior.
Or an accident.
Olivia is texting the authorities right now. Amy Barrett, watch out, an accident's going to happen. But yes, John Grisham novels, Pelican Brief stuff, that's all written about that, where accidents happen. But they get to stay on there forever. Again, this shows that the court system is very powerful. Okay, let's, for 3 points, can we just keep pushing here? I just want to make sure you're ready for
We
the
do
test
5
tomorrow.
points.
5
Seeing
points.
it's not gone a break
Yeah.
for so long, you need to up the points.
Yeah, honestly, like, at this
we're
point,
not
do we even
talking
need
single
at this
digits
point, the
anymore.
break has become like, so,
I've got some candy.
Okay, candy's fine.
For correct answers, I've moved I moved past the point system. We're using Jolly Rancher Chewy candy.
No, wait, 5 points for the break.
Never answer questions.
Guys,
Actually, no,
make
6
life
so it
harder
can
for
be
people.
even.
yeah, I'd rather take the candy.
6.
I'd rather have the candy.
If you guys know Brooklyn Heaps, Brooklyn Heaps.
Heap.
Heap, excuse me. I have her, I think, second or third try in government. She's going to hate all of you because you pushed this number so high that, like.
She won't have to know that it's us, though.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Lincoln. Okay, so. So, in addition to points and candy and Talia, I know.
It's not our fault.
I know the timing is rough, and also you guys want to know the material, and I think that's so good. Other classes bulldoze through it because they could care less. They couldn't care less, but you do.
Because it's fun.
And it's an election year, and you guys are making those connections, which is great.
I registered to vote.
I got my ballot.
I got my
Yes!
Wait. Can you vote in person yet? Or
I voted for myself.
is it only mail-in ballots?
I wrote
You get mail-in right now.
I know.
Going in person, I don't.
Because I want to vote in
Yes.
person to get the sticker
Yes.
or whatever.
Yeah, I don't
No,
think
they
you
send the
guys-
stickers.
They send the sticker?
Yeah, I got
Oh, okay. Because I got it in the mail.
No, actually, Mike Ricky wrote in
I
Darren
did
Burks,
the
and I wrote in
yes.
you and my dad.
I'll vote for him.
Yeah.
I'll vote for two.
I'll
I'll
know
vote for
the Carol
him.
Baldwin.
He'd be so good.
For president?
Right in.
I wrote him and Gordon and
You did.
Mike wrote Darren and my dad in.
So,
He has every year for the past like 13 years.
I believe that. I believe that. I do. And that timeline sounds about right too for Mike if you were going to Darren. Yeah. Okay, so guys, in addition to points and candy, under succession, we're not talking about like success. I'm so smart. We're talking about succession in the term of what?
If the president dies?
Incumbent and lame
Yes.
duck.
Okay.
Yeah, so Sarah,
I
one
watched the
group
video
to
on
another
this.
one, not to like the country's seceding, but secession in that you're succeeding another person in office, yes.
So it's the vice president, and if the vice president dies, it's the speaker of the House, right?
Ooh.
Or no.
Which is why some
No,
people
the House,
decide-
Has that ever
Nancy
happened?
Pelosi, basically.
Okay,
And then there's like the multiple department heads.
so
and then
so you're so close, guys. There's two things we're going to write down here for succession. The first is the 25th
yes.
Amendment.
Secretary of State.
Yeah,
That is
no,
good.
dude.
25th Amendment.
That's 25 points.
Ooh, let's not be that mean.
Tyler's like thought process.
Wait, but like if we're
You agree with me for once?
Not a lot.
No, just one try.
man.
I was gonna say, is this gonna hurt us?
For this class, I wish that it were 2 tries, to be honest, for you guys. But 1 try, that's it. So 25th Amendment, and it says a couple things. But as Gabe and Tyler are alluding to, let's go in order.
Actually,
So
I was actually
if the president were to, let's imagine that Nate were to say, it's time to go. I'm going to plan a secret espionage, ninja-like move and assassinate the President of the United States. And while we have it on video, Nate does it. Takes him out. President Trump's
I can't
gone.
believe the lawyer in you dare says that in class.
it's always fun because it doesn't invoke clear and present danger. If, Nate, I were to give you blueprints and plans and things like that, I'd get arrested, you'd get arrested, we get in trouble.
How would you get
Allegedly.
Are you kidding me? They're public record.
But clear, like a blueprint of some building close to the White House or whatever like that, right?
Like let's
So
say
Nate,
a window.
let's say you take them out, boom.
So that you have
take them
like
out.
223 heavy barrels.
Who then-
Within like 300 yards.
You
goes
thought
back
about
to the
that
helicopter.
way too much.
Who then becomes president? Let's say assassin, boom. Who
Vice
then becomes
president.
president? So you write down VP, okay, comma.
Wait, so the 25th
25th Amendment gives those rules of succession, but we'll write down, Talia, that 25th Amendment, VP,
Because then they
Comma.
have a situation where they didn't know.
Wait, the 25th Amendment VP.
so 25th Amendment, dash,
Secretary
VP,
of State, then the Speaker of the
comma, and let's say Nate says, I don't like Pence either.
So then he hires Tyler.
He
as
takes it,
hitman.
and he involves another conspirator here. Tyler gets involved. They take him out. They poison Pence's food. He's out. He's
Oh
gone.
man, I would. be good
VP's
at
gone.
that
So
one,
who
too.
then takes over?
Secretary
Man of the House.
Secretary of State.
Speaker of the House.
I literally.
Okay. So Spencer, here you go.
Literally so smart.
Here we go.
I guess.
So you got 25th Amendment, Hunter, VP, comma, Speaker, comma. So let's say Nate and Tyler. Nate and Tyler are like, well, you know, I thought I might like Pelosi getting in office, and Maisie, we're not a fan of this whole Pelosi figure. Take her out.
Wait, did you say something about?
Maisie
But doesn't
runs
she
her
get
over.
to assign a new vice
I thought that she
president?
said something in public
Yeah.
about the
So it's just-
25th
She did actually. This tries to tie in.
Let's
Guys,
go.
stick with me. Shh, stick with me. So Maisie comes on board, and they're like, we need to get really.
Wait, but what happens
More in
when
depth.
they assign the new vice president? So then you just have to keep
So-
going.
So
Acting president.
So correct.
They're not actually the president. It's
So,
acting president.
so guys, hey, this is a very good question, Tyler. Of what if we were assuming that this all happens in quick succession? Meaning, Nate takes out the president. Guys, we're getting dark. Tyler takes out the VP.
Maisie runs over Nancy.
But we don't, Tyler. We're assuming here that we don't renominate, because that happens. You can renominate, get a VP in, and then it starts all over again, right? But we're assuming this all happens in quick succession, that nobody is nominated and fills these positions,
Like
okay?
they take the oath on Air Force One.
So, ooh, man, it takes a while. So, like, it would take probably a month for a new VP to get into office.
Tempore of the Senate.
Oh, there we go. I like this. So Maisie said, I want Pelosi. She got her hair done in San Francisco when there's COVID stuff.
So Maisie
We're taking
runs
her
her over.
And Maisie
Gets a bus that I
Maisie
runs her over.
gets a tourist. She gets a touring bus and is like, goodbye, Nancy. And she just takes her out.
Nancy
Okay?
has now a zipper.
And so now, Maisie, yes, the conspiracy's getting bigger. So we got VP, we got Speaker, comma, who then takes over
Secretary of State.
Order here.
You're seeing,
No.
you're doing this the hard way. You're only doing one at a time.
I know.
Yeah, why
And
not
Talia,
get all
I'm not
together?
encouraging better efficient assassinations.
I'm just
but-
So yeah, that's why
But
you always
Trey,
train
you were saying, guys,
Are you
so
kidding me?
VP,
I'd
Speaker,
be
then
so
who's
good.
go
Someone in
to?
the
Pro
Senate.
Tempore.
Dude, I
Yes,
can put a
guys.
card.
The oldest Lucas in the Senate. Yeah.
Pro Tempore
He's lying.
in the Senate. So PRO. And the second word is Tempore, T-M-P-O-R-E, I believe.
TM?
Tempore, yeah, T-E-M.
Of the Senate.
O-R-E of the Senate, or in the Senate.
I have a Maisie, don't worry.
You'll sometimes hear this called Senate pro tempore, meaning,
So they can't
guys,
track
shh,
it.
who is the president of the Senate?
The oldest person.
The VP.
Oh, yes.
So this is
But
the
I
Latin
already
term
told
of a temporary president, hence the term pro tempore, for temporary purposes. So a long time Orrin Hatch was it, because it was the oldest person in the Senate. Now it's Chuck Grassley, who is
Wait,
the
the
oldest.
oldest person in or the
Chuck
one who's been in
Grassley,
the
that
longest?
sounds like the cool dude.
One who has been in the longest, yes. But at the same time, it doesn't have to be. It's usually the party in control, right? But even then, it's more tradition of the person who's been in the longest that the pro tempore. But it doesn't have to be. It could be
Has that ever happened?
where the Senate pro tempore is the president. No. No, it's a good question.
Wait, so the one who's been in the Senate the longest is the
It's on.
Correct. Correct. So
Fly
then,
to DC.
Maddie's involved. We all kind of like,
No.
look,
Let's
this Chuck
do it.
Grassley guy.
Let's do it where the head of
We're not
Homeland
liking him.
Security has to be president.
Maddie, you gotta take care of business. She gets on a little moped. in DC.
It's a little
It's a
drive-by.
brick.
Drive-by.
Doesn't drive by.
Drive-by of like 20 miles an hour.
The Westfield is coming out.
And Westfield, boom, he's out, he's gone. Senate
Why
pro
would you use a
tempore.
Beretta A70 though? Like, come on.
Been there. It's just that center. So we take out the Senate pro tempore. Okay, he's out. Boom. So then who? And assuming we don't, Tyler get nominated.
Pro tempore.
What?
Like the next one?
It isn't. You would think about this. They change the different groups they pull from, right? They could pull from the House again, or they could pull from the VP's office again. They don't.
The
cabinet?
Just be like,
Oh.
you be president.
The cabinets, guys. So you're gonna have 25th Amendment. Hunter, you've written down VP, comma, Speaker, comma, pro tempore, comma, cabinet.
We could send him a crock pot full of mac and cheese, but it's really a bomb.
Pressure cooker bomb. Hey, that's
So,
It's like a crock
so-
pot bomb, like.
Dane, we get involved, and we say, look, we got to get the Secretary of State, and then go in seniority, not of how long they've been in there, but how long the office has existed.
So, which is kind of ironic. So, Homeland Security is the most recent one.
Yep,
But
yep.
if Homeland Security is the one that becomes it, that means they didn't do their job because the whole
Yeah.
purpose is to make sure that.
And then we
doesn't
kill
happen.
them, and then we never get caught.
So, guys, Dane, I will give you a Jolly Rancher if you do a job for us. Okay?
Kill the president.
I just want you to put your foot out when I tell you to, and when I say so, you got to put your foot out to trip them. They fall, hit their temple in the right strategical location, and that means the Secretary of State's gone. But Talia, this is taking so long. Here's a piece of cake. This is
Yeah, you can hire me.
Talia, this is taking so long because we got to go through all the cabinet members. At that point, if we've exhausted, Paisley, we are desperate. We got to get rid of these people.
Wait, is the first person in the cabinet that goes to the president, is it Secretary of State?
State all the way to, in order, down to Homeland Security, meaning that's the most recently created cabinet position.
And if he's
So,
ever president, oh.
Sarah, it goes through all of them. We have Dane take all of them out one by one. Yikes, Dane. I should give you more than one piece of cake. But
Or if it's all in the same place.
I want this
you get
on
rid of all-
video. Gordon Pierce.
It is on video.
Just so
But I'm not giving details, so we're not in clear and present danger. FBI, don't get me.
Oh, is this a book of blueprints
But-
right here?
No, that's
Oh, sir,
all
no,
review.
this is for you.
So Dane, you take them all out. At that point, constitutionally speaking, who to go to?
Revote?
You.
Treasury. Would it be after state? Would it be Treasury?
Well, you go through all of them, yes, but say we exhaust, Dane takes all the cabinet members
Would
out.
it be a bureaucrat?
Be the governors.
Governors?
The
What?
governors would
All
vote
the
amongst
governors?
themselves. Would vote amongst themselves. And
Road trip.
And let's say that Austin's like, time to
Are
die.
you kidding me?
All
I
the
start
governors.
with the governors.
All the
and work
governors
my
get,
way up.
we get rid of them. Who does it go to?
Hey, no, what question? Why wouldn't you do that?
Anarchy. Guys,
Gordon question.
shh, one second. If we got rid of all the governors, and we're like, who's the next president? Who?
What is
Esther,
that?
your thoughts? Shh. Before we get
We
to
just
city levels.
Would it be like the state senators?
Yes, the state legislatures, right?
What the heck is this?
But,
Terrible
but
system.
Trey or anybody, Esther, we don't know
Casually talking
beyond
about
that.
terrorism.
Question.
I say
Right?
I'm on to something here.
challenge accepted. Let's
So,
go.
Talia, I want to go back to what you said, though. Talia, this is so inefficient. If we just could find one time in the year,
But then there's the designated survivor.
where they're all together. What's that one time that the designated survivors use?
But like, it's during the the end of the, what's the, trying to find the term. It's when they all come together to talk about the end of the year.
In Congress, they all come. It's right. It's after Christmas.
New Year.
It's close to New Year's.
Easter.
When he puts the
Winter solstice. No.
State of the Union.
Wow.
Where they all come together, and they have, Gabe, what's called, for the same purpose, Talia, they take one of the cabinet members and they rotate, where everybody's in the same place. VP, president, cabinet members.
That's the dumbest thing they could.
What if
And
that
guys,
cabinet member's like, I want to be president? It's like, stop.
It's too bad they rotate. That's why they rotate, because they're like, I don't want to be it. But if there were an attack, there's an old Shia LaBeouf movie called Eagle Eye, which is about the same thing.
I watched that the other night.
There it is,
Literally
Sarah,
like 3
where they
nights
take
ago.
somebody to the Pentagon to a bunker, and they keep that one designated survivor. Usually it's not a hotel room. It's in a bunker. They take that person away in
Wait,
case
is
of an
that the one
attack.
with like the military dudes?
That's
Like,
so
so they have the whole White House and he
Yeah.
stays the president?
Yep. So guys, Talia, you're right. The examples I was giving was inefficient. If they were all to go in one time, it'd be the State of the Union, but they take one survivor, the designated survivor, and they rotate. Kennedy, a lot of times, like, I don't want to do
That's why you gotta find the
Like the
bunker too.
apostles.
But they, yeah.
Find the bunker.
Yeah. Let's go, Tyler. Tyler.
Okay, so why wouldn't you start low and work your way up? Like kill all the governors. Then,
Then you get lower publicity.
yeah, kill the lower
Like,
people first, right?
Work your way up.
Okay, I'm just saying though, like,
Yeah.
Okay,
do
we
don't
kill for no reason.
Why don't we just nuke DC?
That's dumb though. I do like that. Why not?
But-
No, that's way too crazy.
Then
you
kill
everyone.
Then you know the governors and stuff. Maisie.
Do they have to get voted in by the people? Like, how do they get voted?
Those individuals in that rules of succession, no, they're next up. No matter what the people say, they are the president.
Acting
Wait, so
president.
at the State of the
President.
Union, they take someone like down to hunger for real life,
Yep,
and
they
they
do.
just sit there and
They rotate them out. Yep, from the cabinet. They do. They do. Hunter, last comment. Shh. Hunter.
There's a show on Netflix called Designated Survivor.
Yes. That was a little loose with it because they had to go to a hotel or whatever, but they take, yes, it's based on that same idea.
Here's just a
He was agriculture,
No, housing.
something weird.
housing and
urban
That show-
HHS or whatever it is. HUD, Housing and Urban Development. Yes. So, Hunter, yeah, that's what it's based on.
The only reason why he was that
Guys,
is because
the last thing we're going to do here in class, guys, stick with me, and then the rest of this, I will not hold you accountable for impeachment, okay?
Yay.
But the last thing, you want to keep writing here. So we have VP, Speaker, Senate Pro Tempore, and I think Cabinet. We did write Cabinet.
I did elect.
Is to take over. So VP, Speaker, Pro Tempore, Cabinet is to take over as president if. Well, there's a president. There's a president.
But
They get all the same thing of having a presidential
But they're
library.
not the president though.
They are the president.
I thought they're called acting president.
They're the
because
president.
Then they serve until the end of the original.
They do serve until the end of that term, but they are deemed the president of the United States. Now, technically you say acting, but in terms of legal, they're
Well,
president.
they still have the power.
Correct.
Of president, but they're not like.
To distinguish that they're voting. Guys, VP, Speaker, Pro Tempore, Cabinet is to take over for the president if the president, quote, resigns, removed from office, dies, or is unable. End of quote. Sammy, I like that look there. Or is unable. So guys, this is the rules of succession, Esther, if the president resigns. Have we had a president resign?
Yes.
Yeah, Nixon. Nixon resigned. Okay, Gerald Ford took over. Guys, have we had a president? Have we had a president removed from office?
No.
No, we've had 3 presidents impeached, but they didn't get convicted and removed, okay? So no, we haven't. Close. Nixon would have, yes. Have we had a president die in office?
Yes.
Four assassinated.
But guys, we have. Guys, have we ever had a president be unable to serve?
No.
No, and guys, this is the creepy, weird thing. My goodness, we do not have precedence for this. If we were to have a situation where Kennedy is president and her own kid were kidnapped, would she be mentally able to make decisions as president? So the question would be is maybe she could step down for a time. That's where the acting president comes in, for a time, to wait for the situation to be resolved. But who would determine if the president would be able? She could come back 2 months later and say, like, hey, here's my letter, I'm able to be president.
that president, VP.
The Senate?
The VP and the Senate.
That's why
Wait, so if
technically
you want to
they
pick
can
another kid.
they can have a coup. Technically, but
Yeah, guys, does that make sense? So,
Wait,
yeah,
if
can I
that
trade
happens, like if you'll be president, like if your term ends, what would happen? Like while you're on break, because I'm looking for my children.
Sorry, Kenny, say it one time.
Like if I'm like looking for my kids, and then like my term ends, what happens?
No.
I see IMG because that's it.
Yeah, I saw that too.
You would have to run all over again.
Okay.
The unable part is what Nancy Pelosi was talking about.
mortality rate is like
Biden could very well
like 4
step down because
assassinated.
he could resign. But there's the conspiracy thought that Pelosi could push to say he's never and then Kamala would take over. Yeah. Does that make sense? That's
So
yes.
usually that's really hard to do because they have to have the Senate and the VP.
It's
And that's why.
it's unknown territory. Like how likely?
Because that's like technically where you can like do a coup if the Senate and the VP collude.